Hi, folks. This is David S., he, him pronouns, and this is session 2 of Hearts of Wulin, Silk and Steam. This is a quarterly run of Hearts of Wulin using elements of the Courtly Wuxia rule set being run on the Open Hearth, as it is now called. It was formerly the Gauntlet, now we're going by Open Hearth, following some reorganization. So Open Hearth is the title now. In any event, let's go ahead and get some quick overviews of characters and where we left them last time before getting into this session. So I'll start with, I'll just go character keeper order. Jose?
Hi, everybody. My name's Jose, and I use he and him pronouns, and I'm playing Lei Zhelan, who also uses he and him pronouns. Um, uh, Lei Zhelan is a gardener at the royal palaces. He's a servant, but he is also secretly a spy or an agent of the Silken Thread, which is kind of a revolutionary group that works behind the scenes to try to undermine the crown. Last time we saw him, he had just spent some time. Let's see, what did he do before that? I can't remember, but we had just spent some time eavesdropping on a private conversation between Golden Twilight and Jade Lotus. Is that correct? And we saw him running off and probably preparing himself for the big Unity Day celebrations later on that evening, where in the gardens.
Fantastic. Next down the line, I think, is Joe.
Sorry, I forgot that Jolene wasn't here, so I was doodling away over here. Hi, I'm Joe. He, him. I'm playing Jade Lotus, who is a merchant son, but also a thief who has an alter ego known as Laughing Cricket. I am currently in jail for interfering with the I'm gonna say Iron Lords. Is that right? Lord of Iron, Iron Lord, Lord.
Lord of Iron.
Lord of Iron. Thank you.
Yes.
The Lord of Iron's guards who were chasing somebody, and they did not take that well, and I have been imprisoned. And there's all sorts of shenanigans afoot about how he may or may not get out of prison. So.
And,
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I'll contribute a my bit.
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, you're up next anyway, Brandon, I think.
Okay, well, yes. I am Brandon. I'm playing Golden Twilight, she, who is a young woman of influential family who was adopted into the Iron Emperor's family as a tremendous honor to them, at least. She is trying to balance her duty, her filial duty, and very real, concerns about the state of the country versus the fact that she has a soft heart for the downtrodden and a lot of the people who have been crushed under the boot of the Iron Throne. She also has an alter ego named Silver Willow, who is a rapscallion, someone given to drinking and climbing over roofs and japes in the marketplace and such like that. And that is how she blows off steam. She is had also been getting ready, that being an elaborate 2-day long process of getting ready for the Unity Day celebrations, where she knows that she's basically as far as she's concerned, she's a piece of supposed to be a piece of very pretty furniture. up there on the royal dais and such like that. But the audience has an idea that something more than that's going to be inflicted on her. But as to now, it's all rumor and innuendo in the palace, and she has learned to discount that. But right now, she discovered through a servant that Jade Lotus had been imprisoned for interfering with her quote, her sort of adoptive uncle, Crimson Mountain's activities. And she went to him to try and impress on him the seriousness of what had happened, and the fact that he was fortunate to have not simply been struck dead. And the only reason that they didn't kill him is that they want to get information out of him before his summary execution. He was taking this with the stoicism that she, one of the things that she intently admires about it, because she is secretly in love with him. And she has decided that she is going to break him out of jail as the only way to save him. She cannot possibly do this as Golden Twilight. There are just too many eyes on her and such. But Silver Willow, on the other hand, someone who has not been seen around the palace and has ways of getting about that would be forbidden to a more respectable lady. Well,
All right.
and as I recall, it was Laughing Magpie who was the woman that Crimson Mountain was trying to arrest.
Dancing Magpie.
Dancing Magpie, excuse me, and that Jade Lotus interfered with out of in heroic impulse, and who Lei Zhelan then secreted away to someplace.
Sounds good. And yes, I think we will probably be seeing a little bit more of Dancing Magpie in this particular session. What I'd like to do now is to kind of start the usual cycle of play. So let's see if there is anyone who wants to set a scene to start off with. I'm inclined to kind of go back to character keeper order here, if that works for people. So Lei Zhelan, is there a scene that you would like to set or frame, or is there anything that you'd like me to hard frame instead?
I have a scene I'd like to start anyways, with Wu Shen, which is, I didn't mention him, but he is Lei Zhelan's alter ego, who is a diplomat. And the scene would be kind of arriving before the big festivities in the gardens in the Hall of Unity that evening. So I don't know chronologically if other people have other things that they want to do before we get to that point. And I'm happy to wait, but that's one scene that's on my mind. The other scene that's on my mind somewhere is Brandon had mentioned, I think, on the chat at some point, that perhaps a blackmail scene between Golden Twilight and Lei Zhelan. So that sounds like fun to me. And so at some point we could do that as well. So those are the things that are kind of floating around in my mind. And I can go in any order. I can do it however people want.
I imagine that diplomats would arrive probably some hours before the actual parade begins at sunset. And there would be, of course, some lavish banquet set out for them as they are all announced one by one into the grand chambers and so on. So, yeah, I mean, there's certainly time for that before the parade gets underway if you would like to do that. But Joe, Brandon, do either of you have interactions that you'd like to put out there for Lei Zhelan beforehand?
Um, no, I mean, any of those would be fine. Excuse me. My question is, pacing wise, when should the Unity Day, celebration hit? Because obviously that's a big, huge plot point that's going to change a lot of things. And I kind of want to do whatever fits well with that.
I was thinking maybe if we could maybe set up the pins in the first half of this session and then play through at least most of the Unity Day, knocking pins down for the back half of the session. I just threw that out there without thinking about it, but does that sound good to people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess, Lei, the floor is yours if you'd like to set any particular scene up.
All right. So wait 1 second, since I'm changing persons here. Let me see. I think I may have. Hold on 1 second. What a game are we playing? Hearts of Wulin.
I'm imagining a Monster Hearts protagonist popping up in the corner now, and it's like it's actually a werewolf nobility.
Well, the last time I played Hearts of Wulin, I played a character that was a Lamia.
That's right.
In actuality, so if we were not playing the Courtly version,
oh, I thought I prepared it, but I guess I didn't. So you'll have to just imagine that it's Wu Lishan instead of Lei Zhelan. Let's see. Okay. So I imagine this scene takes place in the outer court of the Imperial Gardens. And I'm thinking that there are kind of these promenades all leading to the Hall of Heavenly Unity, where the big stuff is going to happen, right? And these promenades are kind of covered in arbors with vines that hang down and sway slightly in the breeze. And there are these rare vines that are growing across these arbors. They're from the forests of Muya, and they have small red and orange flowers with a sweet fragrance, kind of like jasmine, but more refined and delicate. And smelling them is said to soothe all cares. And then, so we see a flashback after seeing these arbors, kind of a big panoramic shot of these the promenades with the arbors. We see a flashback to Lei Zhelan planting seedlings along the bare arbors in the middle of winter and carefully training them as they grow in the spring. And then we flash back to the present and we see Wu Lishan. And this is the first time we've seen him. And this is a diplomat, alter ego of Lei Zhelan. And we see him kind of gliding along one of these promenades, and his hands are tucked neatly into his elaborate blue robes. And there's a slight smile on his face. And the other guests around him are admiring the flowers. When all of a sudden, this swarm of small golden yellow butterflies begins to land on all the little flowers. And we again see a flashback to Lei Zhelan in a greenhouse examining the underside of some leaves covered in cocoons, and then consulting maybe an almanac and nodding to himself. And then flashback to the present. And then as these butterflies drop onto these red and orange blossoms, there's kind of a slight bioluminescence to them when they land on the flowers. And as they flutter their wings, it appears like 1,000 small flames are swaying in the breeze above the guests, alluding to the 1,000 iron forges of the Jing family. And I think I would like to try an impress roll, which I have never done before. But since influence is so important in this courtly game, I think it would be fun to do an impress roll to try to get some influence.
And is the impress roll based upon the quality of your horticulture?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let me
If
pull
that's
up
okay.
that. Yeah, well, let me pull up that move and see how that would look. So this would certainly be acting to impress others, and so and you've described the performance as you will. Um, so yeah, well, we can go ahead and give that a shot.
Let me open the.
And is the impress basically Lei Zhelan trying to impress the Lord
Yes.
of Iron?
Yeah, I think
Well,
he's just trying to impress the whole court, I guess.
well, but
The,
it's but it's Wu Lixin here, right?
It is Wu Shin. I mean, this is a whole craziness of having two people be
Well,
the
no,
same
no, no,
person.
no. But Willie Shin can well benefit from Lei Zhelan's kind of having set the stage here,
Set the
right?
stage. Or
So in
maybe
other
they're all
words, Wu
fighting the
Shi-
entrance.
no, Willie Shin is impressing them by his timing, right?
Yes. Oh,
Uh,
and maybe Wu Shin has also put a small bit of the fragrance of the flowers on his robes, so the butterflies are all kind of gathering around him as well.
nice.
Why not go all out?
All right.
All right. My name is, I guess, right now it's Wu Shin. Oh, I need. I need an element. Oh, it's gonna have to be wood. For this one, I think
Now that's your +2. That's good.
that's my plus two. Yeah, it's growth, patience. It took a lot of time to do this. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, there was no dice in my roller. I always have bad luck when I do it this way. Okay.
yeah, 2 is not a good result.
All right, so it's an 8.
Okay. Would you like to? I mean, you would have to spend 2 bonds, but you can bump it to a 10, or you can just take the mixed success.
Let me read the mixed success on that move.
Basically, I just give you a complication or a hard choice if we go with the mixed success. Otherwise, it doesn't change anything.
And bonds, I'm not sure how I would use bonds in this. I'm not going to use up both my bonds. I'll just take the mixed success.
Okay. And so on a hit, you choose. You choose 2 options from the pick list, and you can double up on options.
And I'm looking at the big list. Impress. Here it is. I'll definitely take a point of influence. That was part of the point of this thing. And I guess I could create a bond with someone watching.
Sure.
Pretty much anyone in the Jing royal family would be watching.
So I was thinking
Yeah.
maybe it might be. Let me just look at my NPCs here. Lady Jade Dawn, so the first wife, who is with her entourage there on the promenade, welcoming some of the diplomats, and I suppose she is suitably impressed. So I will write that in the character keeper. Lady Jade Dawn.
So you take a bond with Lady Jade Dawn, and you have a complication or a wrinkle of sorts that it comes into play off of that mixed success. Lady Jade Dawn watches you beaming with almost pride in you as you make this extraordinary, extravagant interest. There's almost this hush that falls over everybody as everybody turns to look at you. May I, if I can, take some liberty, can we say that your alternate identity, Wu Li Xin, is it Li Xin? Is that how it's pronounced?
I think so.
Okay. Can we say that they have some degree of notoriety in the court? They're not sort of like a backstage guy who just kind of shows up but people kind of know him and like him.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is I think we said that this is the alter ego that Lei Zhelan uses when he needs to hobnob with the higher classes. So it would make sense that he has some name. Let's put it that way.
I see. Lady Jade Dawn will motion to you, beckon you over to where she is seated, and she will invite you to step away from the banquet for a moment to the maybe a side room where she would like to speak with you privately and serve tea to you.
And so Lei Zhelan, I'm sorry, Wu Lixin takes a deep bow. It's going to be hard to keep this all straight. Takes a deep bow and says, "My lady, I am honored," and follows her to the side room or the side pavilion, or maybe it's a little more private part of the garden where they meet. I don't know. And yeah.
That's fine if it's maybe kind of an outdoor garden kind of area. I imagine that the weather is very beautiful. There's a cool breeze on the air. The fragrances from the flowering plants are just wafting throughout, accentuating the aesthetic beauty that is the tea, that is the garden. And these servants are pouring you this tea, and she sits across from you and looks at you with this broad smile that has never once wavered from her face. And she will begin to kind of make small talk with you about the state of affairs in Muya, because I believe Wu Lixin is
Yes.
a Muyan diplomat, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, she will kind of cut to the chase here, and she will tell you that the Lord of Iron has long had has long seen potential in you in unifying the formerly warring provinces further. And the Lord of Iron has had great success solidifying ties with Muya. After all, look no further than Lady Orchid Whisper. She herself is a Muya royal who entered she will say this with some envy, politically arranged marriage to secure the safety of her land. Lady Jade Dawn tells you that further diplomatic ties cemented within the bond, she leans forward, of marriage are desired by the Lord of Iron. She sits back for a moment. Wu Lixin, are you familiar with the Institute of Arranged Marriage as practiced in Jianjing?
Of course, my lady. Are you proposing a marriage between myself and someone else, or one of your fine nobles?
You, Wu Lixin.
Did I have to roll keep my cool here?
Uh-huh.
Well, there might be inner conflict that comes up.
Let's hear the rest of the proposal.
Between you and I, the favored child of the Lord of Iron is to attain great merit following this evening's proceedings. The Lord of Iron wishes to request that you willingly enter into marriage, cementing further the ties between Muya and Jing with one Golden Twilight.
You honor me greatly, my lady.
Inner conflict.
I think down. Yeah, I think I'll have to have an inner conflict roll now.
Okay.
He's smooth on the outside, but the conflict is inner. For now, we'll see what happens. All right. Remind me about inner conflict. Do I roll with an element?
Any non-style element, so you cannot roll
Okay.
with wood, but anything else is on the table.
Oh, am I obsessive, disdainful, uncaring, alienated, inflexible? I think he might be feeling uncertain and isolated, so maybe I'll try water.
Okay.
And I have to find the roller again. Too many windows. All right. Oh, that's very, very
Nice.
bad.
Don't forget to mark XP.
This is a good one. Wait, remind me what happens when I fail an inner conflict roll.
Well, you get to mark
XP.
2 XP instead of 1.
Oh,
So,
just taking inner conflict is XP, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
is any miss an XP?
Well, not in Hearts of Wulin. In Hearts of Wulin, you get XP from interacting with your entanglements. 2 if you interact with 1, 3 if you interact with both of them, and you also get XP 1 for rolling inner conflict at all. But then if you roll a miss on inner conflict, that's a second XP. So a miss on inner conflict totals 2 XP. And then of course there's other moves that can pull XP as well.
Is there a place to mark influence? I didn't see it on the
I just
we
put
need
it down
to.
as a bond.
as a bond.
That's a fine way to do
I just
it.
put it at the bottom of the bonds thing. You see, I've got
Oh, I see.
my I get influence automatically, so I just stuck it in there.
Got it. Okay, thank you. All right, so I failed.
So on a miss on inner conflict, the GM makes things much worse. I'm gonna have to come back to that because I thought things were bad enough as they were. So we might
We'll
linger
leave
on
the
that
scene
cliffhanger.
at Lei Wulishin's astonished face.
Yes, she may read too much into that astonishment.
All right. So we have Jade Lotus up next. Now, this is a little tricky because I'm not sure when you were going to break out of prison. So I'm not really sure if maybe we should come to you at this point. What do you think in Jade Lotus in terms of how to time this?
Sure.
I have an idea to allow Jade Lotus to shift the timing to when he wants, if I can put it out there.
Sure.
Is Joe, is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. If I may set the scene a little, you're sitting in the prison, and there's no guard immediately outside your door. There's guards in the corridor and such like that, and there's the hustle and bustle of servants going pell-mell that you can hear, because Unity Day, nothing's holding still. But then the outer door pops, clicks open, and a young woman whom you recognize slips in silently and latches the door again. You're still behind bars, but she is in the outer thing, and it's Silver Willow, and she puts a finger right to her lips and then approaches close so the two of you can talk.
Yeah, so I think I like that. So I think obviously, so he has unrequited I think he for Silver Willow. So I think he jumps up and is from sitting, and is um no, wait. Does he pursue Silver Willow or does Laughing Cricket pursue Silver Willow?
Laughing Cricket pursues Silver Willow.
True.
So it
Okay.
means you recognize her and she does not
Right.
recognize you.
Right. Okay. So
And
yeah,
when
so
but you might well jump up.
yeah, so yeah, he'll jump up a bit and then compose himself and uh and say, young lady, what do I owe the honor? Is this a condemned prisoner's last wish?
She continues to kind of hold you to silence while she listens briefly at the door. And then she makes her way quickly and silently over to your cell, and she says, "Be quiet for the sake of the heavens." Do you want any of the guards to come in here?
I suppose not.
Well, then keep it down, won't you? Fine. I suppose a fine lord like you never has a reason to keep their voice down. They're always shouting at the servants.
What exactly? I think he's smirking a little at that and just says, maybe you could tell me why you're here.
I wouldn't be here on my own, in my own regard, I can tell you that. But there is someone who cares perhaps a little too much for you. And who believes that you need to be rescued from your own foolishness. Now, I don't know what she sees. It says Silver Willow. But favors are owed, and friendships are what they are. And so it is not my position to decide whether you are worthy of escaping imperial justice, which, by the way, they're practically sharpening the axe for you. Have you not figured this out?
I still believe that I will have a chance to plead my case to the powers that be.
Well, unless you have someone particularly juicy to implicate, all that pleading is not likely to preserve you from an ignominious death. So, my recommendation, and not a little bit of effort on my mistress's behalf, is that you not avail yourself of the renowned mercy of the Iron Lord. So here, take these. And she gives to you 2 small packages between the bars, which are wrapped in of all things in kind of festive paper. She says, hide these things into your clothes. This small one, do you have, and also this, and she passes you a fire starter, a flint and steel. She says, this small one goes into the lock, push it in hard, and then light the end. Then close your eyes and turn your face away. As soon as you are out, light this one. But take a deep breath before you do, because it will create a great deal of smoke. If you go take a right down the corridor, the third door on the left, third door, understand? Not the fourth door, will take you to a little used staircase. After that, you're on your own.
This is madness. I'm a simple merchant. What would become of my family if I become a fugitive?
It's your family will appreciate your being a fugitive more than being brought your head in the morning after Unity Day. And so, more importantly, will my mistress, who cares that it remain on its shoulders for reasons that I don't understand at all.
Well,
and have not pride.
that is a good point. So he'll take the packages and stuff them in the
Okay.
folds of his,
That one for the lock, that one afterwards. Don't mix them up. She says, she looks through the bars and she says, I suppose you're handsome enough. But really, there are a lot of handsome men around, so I don't understand. No. There must be something about you. If you trifle with her affections, you'll see me again, and it won't be as pleasant.
I think he'll just graciously bow to her and
My name is Silver Willow. If you manage to get out of here, you can call. There are certain establishments down in the Fujian quarter where you can ask after me and get a message to me.
I guess I owe you one, Silver Willow.
You do not owe me anything, for I am acting on another's behalf. Her, you will owe everything. And it will be up to you to decide what that means. So, and now I'm going to leave, or we'll both get caught. She turns, she pops the door open an inch, peers out into the corridor, waits for a moment, and then is gone.
So Jade Lotus, what do you want to do at this point?
Yeah, I'm I had something else up my sleeve, but I like where this might be going, so I'll hold on to that for the time being. So I think what you will see Jade Lotus do is you'll see him take his cloak, right, and his garment, and he will reverse it, and then he lets down his hair, which is enough to all of a sudden be unrecognizable, and he's now laughing cricket. And he will he'll put the thing in to pop the lock, to blow the lock and then start the process, right, to escape out of there.
I imagine that, I mean, Golden Twilight, this is your, or should I say Silver Willow, this is your device. I imagine it's fairly loud. I mean, it would explode the lock off, wouldn't it? Or
the one that's going through the lock makes a gunshot sound.
right.
It's a gunpowder. It's a charge of gunpowder. With a little bit of phosphorus around it to heat up the metal rapidly. That's why the second one is so important, because the second one is meant to make clouds of smoke that will make people cough and you know and rub at their eyes and things like that, and make it very difficult for anyone to tell what's going on.
Okay. So Jade Lotus, is this where you make the escape?
I think there's no time like the present.
Okay. So would you like to describe how that looks? I will say I imagine that the jail cells are a little bit more high tech than maybe a standard jail cell rather than operating on a swinging hinge. There's maybe a series of locking cogwheels that kind of spin to slide the door into an open versus closed position. So it's not like you're blowing it outward. It's almost like it has to kind of come off its hinges a little bit, or kind of like be blown out of the frame in order to make an opening big enough to escape from.
Yeah, so yeah, I think so. He'll follow the instructions. So he'll pack the small explosive into the locking mechanism, because then that'll pop it out enough so that he could then further lift it and push it out. And he'll light it and go to the back of the cell and avert his eyes. And I mean, I guess if we're just letting this happen, at any point just tell me if we need to roll or anything. But I think what you see is a loud bang, like a firework or a gunshot, and it dislodges the door enough that then he can lift it up kind of and push it out. And he'll hustle to the door. What are we in, like a bank of these sort of things, like of cells? Is that kind of what we're seeing, or is it just a couple cells? Or
I was thinking a relatively long corridor of them.
yeah, so I think he'll, as soon as he pops the door off, he'll run towards the door, preparing the sort of smoke bomb, because what he wants to do is he's going to let it off and hide kind of behind the door. Maybe he'll wait right until he hears people coming, and then light it and kind of be behind the door, so when they come in it's all smoky, and then he's going to try to scoot out behind them after they come in.
Okay.
I'm assuming people are going to hear that, and guards are going to hear that and come. I guess that's my assumption. So.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be doing something under pressure, which calls for an overcome roll. So, which element would you like to roll with?
Probably fire feels right. So yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, let me get my rolling going here. Fire is +1. And giddy up. It is an 8.
Okay. So you're going to be successful insofar as you are able to, kind of break everything out, and you're out there. I think the complication here is going to be that you can make your way kind of partway down the corridor. You can kind of get closer to that third door on the left, I think it was. It's going to be blocked. There is a rather large contingent of guards that seem to be making an effort to wall off all exits. You're not sure if you're the reason why. I mean, they would have mobilized really quickly. Something is up if the guards have already mobilized, or maybe something else is going on in the palace for them to be this quick. But your route of escape that Silver Willow gave you is blocked. Now, the guards collectively, you can take him, probably. But you would have to resort to violence. You're not going to be able to sneak your way out of this unless you want to retreat further into the palace, and resolve the problem that way. And yes, as Golden Twilight mentioned in the chat, you can also spend your bonds to bump that to a 10 plus.
So I think he'll see them and get to your point, he'll get the impression that's strange. Why would that they shouldn't have been there so soon or so. And so he also realizes that something might be up, and he's going to retreat further into the palace. He's also thinking, well, while I'm here, there's this sword that I'm interested in as well. So perhaps he'll retreat further into the palace.
Okay. And we'll cut away from you there. Silver Willow / Golden Twilight, was there a quick scene that you wanted to be involved in here? You were briefly interacting with Jade Lotus, but was there any additional scene that you wanted to insert?
No, I'd rather get to Unity Day, really. I mean, there might be, we might see something just a very brief vignette where, a maid, passes on gossip that, something happened down at the jails, and Jade Lotus is nowhere to be found. And of course, I feign dismay, that there should be such a disruption on, in the run up to Unity Day. But since there were rumors going around that an attempt might be made on someone's life, it must have been a failed attempt in that regard. But then secretly she smiles to herself.
I see. Okay. We might cut back to you here shortly, because I think the upcoming scene changes things a bit. We'll go back then to Wu Lixin. You were...
Can I ask a quick question before we go to my scene?
Yeah, of course.
Brandon, I just wanted to ask about...
Yeah.
I think I'm still getting confused with all the AKAs. So in that scene that you did with, it was between Silver Willow and Jade Lotus, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were pretending like, I don't know what my lady sees in you, that kind of thing. But you know what you see in her, right? So you're putting on an act to not tip him off.
Yes. Silver. Yes. Golden Twilight is in love with Jade Lotus.
Right.
Okay, and so Silver Willow is pretending to be acting on Golden Twilight's behalf,
right?
Carrying out a task that she cannot get her hands dirty with, on behalf of her mistress. And she's saying all of these affectionate things as if it wasn't. She's doing a classic Wulin thing, right? Which is that she's saying all these affectionate things as if it were someone else. When
I just wanted to make sure I was reading that correctly.
And by the way, yes, and Jade Lotus, to the audience sees that Silver Willow says, I cannot imagine, oh, you're handsome enough. And and Silver Willow gives a little sigh that say Jade Lotus may or may not, see.
Okay, perfect. That's what I thought.
But she's and Silver Willow, if this were a book, Silver Willow would be saying to herself, or maybe she says it in an aside to the audience or something, pray he does not see, how the pounding of my heart, as I dissemble to him, and the brightness of my eyes. And would that I did not have to engage in such pretense. So let's just make that more obvious.
Okay. Wu Lixin's troubles.
Yes, well, and speaking of Wu Lixin's troubles, we have an inner conflict miss to resolve.
Oh yeah.
So I'll let you start. How do you react whenever the words reach your ear that the Lord of Iron himself requests that you enter into marriage, of all things, with Golden Twilight?
I think normally Wulishan is super composed, and this is after all a cover identity, but I think what betrays him in this scene is you see his eyes darting as if he's calculating, um, and um, and this would not be missed by Lady Jade Dawn, who is quite observant. And So I think we can see when we see Wulishan's face, a bit of dismay runs across it briefly, and then some darting of the eyes as if calculating, and then his face goes back passive. Um, uh, um, Internally, he is, if I narrate his internal state, um, uh, um, he is torn by the advantage that this marriage might give him in this alter ego, but also the restrictions it would impose upon him in terms of being able to continue the work that he's been doing as Wu Li Shin to undermine the crown, because he would have many more eyes on him now. Yes, it might make keeping the alter ego very hard. Yeah, yeah. So he might be, and he's probably afraid of being exposed if this happens. So that's a little bit of the internal and a bit of the expressions. I can keep going in some direction if you want me
No,
to.
that works. That works. So I'm gonna cut in here and I'm gonna narrate a little bit because something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah, I hear you.
So as you are clobbered by these words, I think that's a good way to describe it. Clobbered. You experience this sense of almost like numbness throughout your entire body. This panicked dread rises up in you, and as you realize almost too late, you can't really move. Actually, there's a paralytic element that has been introduced into you, and as you look around, making that cautious back and forth, you can see too that Lady Jade Dawn doesn't look well. You can see that she is sweating, she is pale, she seems to have this blank expression of almost comatose unconsciousness that's beginning to come over her. She's swaying and faint, and as you look at her, you see kind of across the background one of her servants crossing behind, carrying a teapot. The servant glances over the shoulder to the two of you, and you see that the servant is a disguised dancing magpie.
What?
They don't recognize you because you
Right.
are in Wu Lu Li Xin form.
Right.
But you have been caught in the crossfire of assassination by poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize this about the time that everything goes black. So I want you to mark, I think, water.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll cut ahead just a little bit. You awaken to a scene of chaos as several members of the royal court are assembled in a circle around you and Lady Jade Dawn. There is hushed murmuring. People are calling for physicians. There's a couple of people who have come in and they're attending to Lady Jade Dawn. Maybe there's one attending to you, and they look up and they say, "This one's awake. This one's awake." And as you look over at Lady Jade Dawn, this is kind of where you start to have to make a decision as to what you want to do. You can tell by looking at Lady Jade Dawn, who is kind of laid out on the ground. You can tell by the pattern of maybe rash that has come across her skin, the type of paleness, the way that sort of the mucus emerges from her nostrils. You know exactly what kind of rare botanical herb has been used to poison the two of you. And you're okay yourself, aside from one element having been marked. Lady Jade Dawn may very well die here. And you probably are the only person here who knows how to treat that specific rare herb, because you are Lei Zhelan, the court botanist. The doctors don't know. You're the only one who can save Lady Jade Dawn at this point. Now, the problem is that if you betray that you know this knowledge, that may give
Undermine my
away some
cover.
bit of your... Yeah, exactly. So what do you want to do?
We see Wu Lishin's eyes dart a couple of more times as he considers, and then he springs forward and takes the sleeve, grabs the sleeve of one of the doctors who's attending Lady Jade Dawn, and he says, "I've seen this before. I've seen this poison at work. You must. There's an herb in the second pavilion with yellow flowers. Pull it up and crush the root and make her swallow it. That's the only antidote. If you don't do this immediately, she may die."
There's this expression of shock right away, and one of them takes off. As you hear this, or as you see this person take off, you hear people calling, "Guards, there's an assassin in the palace. Secure all exits," and guards are running to and fro, making an effort to really prevent anybody from getting in or out of the palace. I think that Golden Twilight and Laughing Cricket, you guys can kind of insert yourselves into any scene at this point. You guys both have free reign of the palace here. But we'll cut away from Wu Lixin here for just a moment, as the doctors are going to get back with that herb. Laughing Cricket, we just left you as you escape further into the palace. The guards are on very high alert. Escape is going to be extraordinarily difficult, but you're not in jail anymore. So the palace itself is kind of a larger campus. It's sort of a walled, fortified garden with multiple, I will say, palace buildings in it. And you could feasibly make a go for the Sword of Pearl if you wanted to, but there might be other things you want to attend to instead. So what are you thinking?
He's gonna make a play for the sword. That's I think he as Laughing Cricket, he takes advantage of opportunity when opportunity is presented, and he's now deep in the palace, and there's, this wasn't how he would have planned getting there, but he's there now, so he's going to make a play for the sword, and he doesn't know why. I'm assuming he doesn't know why there's so much other stuff going on, right? Because he wouldn't have seen any of this, but he's opportunistically going to take advantage of whatever's going on. He feels may be the perfect distraction for getting to the sword.
Right. I'm inclined to say we'll cut ahead to where you have bypassed some form of obstacles getting into, I forget exactly which palace, there's a number of them, the sword is interred within. would you like to describe the way that the sword is hidden?
I think if I remember
Or
correctly,
protected, maybe?
he had indicated that it was in a vault,
Yes.
but a vault, that this was the one time that the vault would be opened and it would be removed. So I guess my question would be, has it already been removed from the vault to be put on display, or is it still in the vault at this point from a timing perspective?
Hmm. I'm inclined to say that it's probably still in the vault, but maybe the vault is open, or at least the means of opening the vault are unguarded now. Because everyone is in such chaos about this assassination attempt, no one's thinking to cover the vault.
Yeah, so
May I volunteer a detail, Joe?
sure.
So the vault is has an elaborate puzzle lock on it. One of those one of a kind, craftsman like thing of turning wheels and shifting pieces, and things like that. All cunningly done out in metal and in bronze and in wood. With the pieces that have to be turned just so and then made just so, and that's why they felt okay left leaving it alone, because who could possibly know how to break into that?
Yeah, I like that. Either that, or maybe the vault isn't like that, but the sword itself is inside a puzzle box of sorts.
There we go. Yes, the sword is, yes, the vault's open, but the sword itself inside is a puzzle box. Makes sense.
Yeah. And so he has to somehow figure out the puzzle box. Please don't make me do a real puzzle. We'll be here a while.
Um, no, that works. That works. So here's what I'm thinking then. Um, I'm gonna say that you're able to make it to this vault. It's small, square chamber, ornate decoration, tapestries, paintings, and such of various warlike scenes from the war that led to unification. And there, in the center pedestal, is, of course, the puzzle box containing the sword. And I will say that it looks completely unguarded. You can take it if you want. It will be an overcome roll to try.
Yes, looks indeed. I trying to decide, like, his original plan was he wanted to leave the toy sword inside, toy sword where it was, but he was not going to have that anymore, I'm assuming. So can he try to
Actually,
open the puzzle box?
can I say something?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
I think I'll just add a detail here. I think to his surprise, Jade Lotus finds the toy sword right next to the pedestal where the real version is. And we see a quick flashback to Lei Zhelan early on, grabbing it from the evidence, or the place where they keep everyone's stuff that gets confiscated, smiling to himself, and knowing that you're going to attempt to steal the sword. He puts it there to wait for you.
But how would he know?
Oh, but he doesn't know. Oh, I don't know the alternate. Okay, erase it, because I don't know that you're laughing cricket. Thank you.
No.
Sorry.
The respectable Jade Lotus was the one who was arrested.
I think he likes the idea of trying to open the puzzle box and take the sword and then reclose I think for him, the the idea of them opening it and in some ceremonious manner and then it being empty or having the toy one in there was kind of part of his shtick. So can he attempt to open the puzzle box?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if you want, we can maybe. Or I'm sorry, what was that?
It said he's a thief.
Yeah. Let me just double check here and see.
You can always leave a note. That's classic.
Any moves come into play? Yeah.
Yeah. So, or a little cricket inside the.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fine. We'll just make that part of the overcome roll. If the end goal here is to take the sword, then you can make a play to overcome the puzzle box. Nab the sword, leave a calling card of your choice, and see if you can't get out of there in one piece.
Which may be a separate thing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so an overcome roll?
Yes, doing something under pressure.
Okay. I feel probably like if I look at these here, metal probably with control calculation, that feels probably like the right element there.
Mhm.
So that's so it's just going to be a straight roll. Oh, let's see. Seven.
Okay. So
And it wouldn't be
7.
fun without a complication.
Yeah, I don't think that you can even bump that up to a 10, really. So I think what's going to happen here is, it takes a little bit of clicking around on the various rods and pegs, but I imagine that it finally pops open, and it's a very mechanical puzzle box, and there's almost kind of like a whirring effect as it opens. And inside, of course, is the Sword of Pearl, yours for the taking. And that's when you hear chunk, chunk, and the sound of armored footsteps behind you. I should have expected that you would be here, Laughing Cricket. You hear Crimson Mountain say. An assassination attempt in this palace on this day? You must have known ahead that the Pearl Sword would be unguarded. You should be so foolish as to think that we would leave it like this. Surrender your weapon, and your death will be painless. He's arrested you once already. He doesn't know that, though.
Right. I get into Laughing Cricket mode here. So I think so he's not yet holding the sword. It's just sitting there. And so he turns to Crimson Mountain and says, "Well played, but the game is not over yet." And he will pick up the sword and he'll draw it. And I think he's going to so I think what I'd like to try to do is I think he knows he probably cannot beat Crimson Mountain straight up, right? But perhaps he wants to do enough to affect an escape, if that makes sense. So like duel him enough or fight him enough so that he can position himself to get away. Laughing Cricket has no honor in the sense of he's perfectly happy to run away and live to drink wine another day. So
Sure. So here's what I'm thinking then. There's going to be a fight here, and we also need to see whether or not Lady Jade Dawn lives long enough to attend. Well, I don't know that she'll be attending many parades tonight, but lives at all. And I also want to give Golden Twilight one last. Do you want to do anything before we take our break and then come back and have Unity Day um, celebrations, I guess. So I'm gonna kind of cut back and forth rather quickly here as we do this. Crimson Mountain has a spear with him, and he will level it at you. He will essentially flip a switch on the spear, and the head of the spear is going to rotate at an alarmingly fast pace, essentially like a drill bit. He is above your scale, but if you get a hit on this duel, you can narrate the loss, and that means that you will make it out in one piece and possibly with the sword. You're not going to beat him, that's impossible here, but you will have dueled him once, and that can be of benefit to you if you ever want to learn a new technique to beat him in the future. So that will be what happens here. Does that work for you, Laughing Cricket?
absolutely.
So you're going to roll with your style element here, which is water. You have a +2. Before you roll, can you describe your fighting style and kind of how this plays out?
Right. Yeah. So normally he uses like his signature type thing is he's got these little blades, right, that he throws and I think what did I call that? It's been sorry, what I
You
named
called
my
it 1,000 dancing needles.
yeah. So the he has sort of a very like dancing sort of flowing style, right? Almost like dance. And it's very elaborate and acrobatic. And so you'll see him he'll draw the blade, and he'll be very he'll be dancing around Crimson Mountain and trying to parry the spear, and take little shots as he can, but give lots of ground and things. But it'll be very flowing and like an elaborate dance. And I think he's probably got those. They have like long flowing sleeves, and so there's lots of fabric moving about as well as he's doing that as well. So
Depending on your role, Crimson Mountain might do something here, but I will just say for the time being that his fighting style is surgically precise. You are only just barely able to evade as he does these powerful kind of thrust directly towards your heart, directly towards your liver, right towards these vital organs. And with this drill bit spinning around on his spear, I mean, if he struck you just once, the whole thing would go right through you. It would be instant death, pretty much, and a fairly messy one at that. But so you're just barely able to kind of, right under your arm, right over past your neck, that kind of thing, as kind of the way I'm picturing this. And at no point does he ever betray anything less than an expression of concentration. So let's roll here and see how it all goes, if that sounds good to you.
this feels pivotal. All right.
Okay, cool.
I don't want to click the button. 8.
Okay. Whew. So that means that you may declare how you lose, and unless you bump that up to a 10+, you're going to need to mark an element of your choice.
I have to spend a bond to.
You'd have to spend 2 bonds.
So how do you do that? I apologize. I don't know. Do you just do it, or do you have to narratively figure out how those bonds help you.
To the degree that you can narratively work it in, you're kind of supposed to. That being said, I think we're all fairly generous in allowing for it if you do want to spend bonds.
So maybe help me out. What would be the difference in outcome here roughly between this 8 and a 10?
Marking an element.
Marking an element?
That mechanically, that would be the only difference. Yeah, you would have an element marked, and that can be healed by narrating a montage once this is all said and done, or with comfort and support. You'll just mark the element.
I'll just mark the element. Is it my style element that I have to mark?
The move says it's your choice. Well, it says parentheses choice. It doesn't specify whose choice, but I'm okay with you just choosing what you want to mark.
Let's see. I'm looking at these other things to kind of feel like what might, using those as maybe how he might be feeling after getting whooped up on.
Or you could decide that he got you with the spear and you mark wounded. Obviously, that's a much bigger deal.
Yeah. Oh, so can I step out of character for a moment and just kind of I've been thinking forward a couple steps, and I want to. So I'm kind of what I'd kind of been thinking was that he wanted to get out of here, and then have Jade Lotus bring the sword back as a way to get back in good graces, right? That's kind of a path I was thinking.
Sure.
If
Yeah.
it worked out, but I have this feeling how it might be kind of cool if he was like, wounded and trying to prevent people from knowing as Jade Lotus he was wounded or whatever. That might be. So that's just a -2 for everything if he's wounded, right? Is that what
yeah. If you take wounded, that's a -2 ongoing. It's a significantly more severe penalty than having an element marked. If your element's marked, that just means you can't roll with that element until it's unmarked.
All right.
But it's also more sympathetic because it's
Right. Yeah. There is some there is some non-mechanical appeal to being wounded by this. So it's up to you. Whatever you want to do, it all works.
What do you guys think? I'm open to. I mean, it's.
Well, I'll just say that if Golden Twilight finds out that you got wounded, then she will she'll practically crumble.
That sounds appealing in a weird way. I'm gonna choose wounded. I mean, it seems. I don't know. He was he never had a chance really to beat this guy, and with this drill bit thing here, I'm gonna mark wounded.
And I think if I may narrate how that part of it works, and then you can narrate the rest, I think that as you're fighting, Crimson Mountain will basically say to you, I've been toying with you throughout this entire duel. I could have ended this at the very beginning had I chose, but I thought I might analyze your fighting style first. You come from the province of Tuang, don't you? I've seen this fighting style before. I've killed many who've practiced it. Most interesting, we will be sending guards to your regions shortly to investigate further. But as for you, I believe we must finish this here. And then bang, and I'll let you narrate where he hits you and what happens from there.
Yeah, I think it happens when as he's monologuing, I think Laughing Cricket sees an opportunity to try to get behind him and out of the vault, and I think he will take sort of like one of these kind of stepping up onto the wall a little bit and then kind of flipping over over Crimson Mountain. And as he does that, you see him thrust the spear up, and then you see Laughing Cricket roll out of the way. The sword, falls beside him, and you see him pick up the sword. And as he kind of runs down the hallway, there's a pool of blood on the floor, and a pretty significant pool of blood on the floor as he skirts out of the room.
All right. I want to cut just real quick back over so we can do Wu Lixin's. I'm going to treat it as an overcome roll to see if you're able to save royalty. Does that work for you, Golden Twilight, or is there any last thing you want to do before we get that done and then take a break?
It does, but I want to intercalate myself into the scene, which is that Wu Lixin, after you instruct the doctor, of course, the residual, poison in your system, of course, is, it's exhausting, right? And you swoon back, and when you regain, just for a moment, you blink out, and when you regain consciousness again, you are being a cup of tea is being put into your hand by Golden Twilight, who is like, drink, honorable one. They are even now applying your remedy to the august lady. And the doctors assure me that without your extraordinary knowledge, and there is that pause before the word drops in, that she would have had no chance whatever. But you are not ineffective, and this will help. This is a simple something that will help to purge the remains from your system.
Lixin looks sidelong at her as if he's out. He is out of breath and he is a little dazed, but he looks kind of does a little side eye as he says, "Thank you, my lady. This will help." And he drinks the tea, and as he lowers the cup, he's looking at Golden Twilight with a new level of respect. Because he knows that there's more to her that meets the eye. She's not the ingenue that he believed.
Yes, her manner is naive, sweet, innocent, but tiny little things, and you're not sure, and you're not sure whether she's seen through your disguise or not, but you're the revelation. She's one of the few people who, she was already suspicious of you, and she knows who Lei Zhelan is, of course, the position. And so how extraordinary that this, unremarkable, Moyan diplomat should happen to have such exacting knowledge of the palace gardens, not merely of botany. And you get the impression, at least, that she has seen through your disguise, and has evidently not said anything. Okay, that's what I have.
All right, then, and then Wu Lixin, as he sips his tea and Golden Twilight withdraws, he stumbles over to where the doctors are treating.
The Golden Twilight doesn't withdraw. This is her.
Oh yeah.
This is her father's, lady wife. Okay. She is in attendance. But she is doing the noble thing there. She helps you. You still being unsteady on your feet.
Thank you, my child.
She provides a little shoulder for you to balance on. I mean, she's a a little thing of a girl. She's so she can't hold you up, but she can provide you with balance.
Bit of balance. They hobble over to see how Lady Jade Dawn is faring, and I guess I should make a roll at this point.
I'm thinking overcome, which we have overcome runs this session, but yeah, I'm thinking overcome for this one, and this will determine, I think, whether she lives or dies. Actually,
Yowza. Okay. So what element would I use for this? It's about the remedy, right? Um, it's not control. It's not
It's got to be earth or wood, right? It's a plant.
earth or wood. Yeah, it's a plant. Yeah. Yeah, why don't I use my the wood? That makes sense for growth.
Okay.
And okay, where was all right, I've been rolling gangbusters. Well, at least I made the 7.
All right, we have a 7. You could burn every single bond you have to get that to a 10, but otherwise we'll take the mixed success.
The mixed success then. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think
Always best when they're mixed.
yeah, I think the complication here is going to be sort of obvious. I think that you know, she will come to, and there will be, I'm just kind of glossing over it so we can get to the break and then the next step of the session, but there is this moment where she comes to and has this almost like sudden sharp inhale of breath because she was hardly getting enough air before. She was so shallow in her breathing. She comes to, and the doctors are telling her, "Oh, Lady Jade Lotus, the wondrous and noble Wu Li Xing was the one who prescribed this this remedy to you. Truly, he is most honored amongst our halls, and everyone is praising you, and word has spread that you are the one who saved the first wife of the Lord of Iron's life." Which, on the one hand, great for you, and on the other hand,
dangerous.
Yeah, complication is going to be that a number of the members of the royal court, their eyes will narrow toward you. I don't know if there's a need to name specific ones at this point. That might be a twist we reveal later, but your cover has been compromised. Yeah. Are there any last matters people want to attend to before we take a break and then come back and cut ahead to the show must go on as far as the parade and festivities are concerned? Okay, let's take 10 here, come back at 42, and we will see everyone here in a little bit. Okay, so we're going to skip ahead a little bit, I suppose. Like it or not, it is time for the parade to commence. And the royal family is in no position to participate, but they have to. The Lord of Iron is not going to allow the actions of an assassin to disrupt the most important political holiday in the entire empire. So the show will go on. The royal family is going to be essentially escorted by a small army to the throne pagoda, which is essentially a gigantic sort of almost combination pagoda / parade float, whereupon the royal family who can attend will. Lady Jade Dawn is going to be probably out of action for this particular one, but she will remain on the palace campus, again, heavily guarded. Golden Twilight, you are expected to be a part of this procession.
Of course. And I would like to invite the Honorable Wu Li Xin to also grace the royal pavilion, given his timely intervention to save the Lord and Mother's life, that he might be given a minor place of honor.
The Lord of Iron thinks that would be most appropriate, is all he'll say about it at this time.
Wu Li Xin takes a heavy sigh and complies.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of saying no to that.
Very well. And so
the Golden Twilight is desperate to have someone to talk with during the ceremonies.
But what do we do with Laughing Cricket? You were last seen taking off across the palace, still in possession of the Sword of Pearl. Um, what do you do here with it? Are you going to try to deliver it back into the hands of its owners, or make your escape here, or what do you want to do?
I think the first thing that he will do is, um, I mean, I guess the first thing he needs to kind of fix himself up the best he can, right? Because so he stops bleeding all over everything. So
You do have a move that allows you to be clean and spotless.
that is true. Yes, I forgot about Midnight Orchid. So so yeah, so I think, you know, let me, so I think what we may see is um uh, we may see him again um in we can be in disguise but not as an alter ego, right? Is that a thing that you can do? Can you just be in disguise, or are you required to be in your alter ego? I just remember reading the thing that, you know, disguises always work, right? Because they're, you know, you can put a little mustache on and you're all of a sudden somebody else, right?
Yeah, you can pretty much disguise yourself as anything at any time, as long as it's even as long as it's a little bit plausible.
Or
Yeah,
simply conceal your identity, right? You know, have a a hooded cloak or something like that
That's
that
maybe a
shadows
better
your
thing.
features.
Yeah, you might not be able to successfully convince other people that you are the Lord of Iron, for example, but you could, yeah, like Golden Twilight mentioned, you can certainly conceal your identity pretty quickly.
yeah, because I think what we want to see him doing is um flip back into, we see him in a much, a clean, spotless sort of appropriate garment for the event. And I think he's at the event, the this what's going on there, way back in the kind of, way back in the crowd or whatever. And like you said, just maybe whether he has a hood over his head or he's doing something to conceal his identity, but he's still there, hidden back amongst the, because I'm assuming, you know, you have all the royalty and nobility, whatever, up in the thing, but then there's people there kind of watching the ceremony, right? Is that kind of the thing? So he's back in the back there, just kind of, and he has the sword concealed on him. Uh,
I would imagine in if he's in the crowd, you don't even have to conceal your identity, right? No one's looking at you. It's dark, you know, there are fireworks going off in the sky. Everybody's all eyes are drawn towards the parade. You know,
Yeah,
except for a few, a fixer, a few, you know, guards idly scanning the crowd to make sure nobody pulls a weapon or something like that.
right, a sword out of their their outfit.
I think that's reasonable, and yes, I mean there's going to be the full fireworks display, or at least the beginnings of it. The full thing happens kind of at the end of the um, speech by the Lord of Iron, but there's the occasional pop of fireworks. The parade is essentially military in nature, but there are fun quote unquote elements to it as well. There are mechanical dragons that stalk along, and there's steam billowing out of their nostrils as they kind of lurch and leer and slither about. Lots of kind of floats that essentially travel on their own, either on treads or on kind of like spider legs that click along the street. It's all very mechanical, very high tech sort of stuff. The throne pagoda, of course, is this giant thing that's probably at least 3 stories tall. And it does this multi-tiered structure that trundles along on its own, again surrounded by a large army on all sides. I will say, Laughing Cricket, it's up to you if you so choose to reveal yourself, but you will see Bright Minnow in the crowd. So you can always bring them back into play as you so choose. Um, but is there anything that you want to do while you're in the crowd, or will we cut over to Wuli Sheen and Golden Twilight?
Um, I think probably um he'll I think he's gonna kind of slide his way towards Bright Minnow. Um and I think what we'll see is he'll kind of like come up behind her and just kind of be there, and then um um make his presence known. He'll say something like, uh don't don't turn around, um and put his hand on her shoulder, um and um and say, um I may need your help to get out of here. And I think that you will see maybe a couple drops of blood drip off, come down, like the down off the from underneath his sleeve, as well. So
Now you're still in Laughing Cricket mode?
no, I think he's back to Jade
Switched.
Lotus mode. Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, he found a phone booth to switch back to Jade Lotus mode.
How are
I'm-
you still alive? They ask. They don't look at you. And you detect equal parts relief and fury in their voice.
That's maybe a story for another time. But right now, I just stay stay calm, and let's just watch the show.
Can I don't know if Laughing Cricket is I'm sorry, Jade Lotus, what Jade Lotus has planned for the sword in the show, but I wanted to put in a little tiny little scene as maybe as Wu Li Shin and Golden Twilight are walking through the crowd, with the other nobles and diplomats and stuff, but they're passing by nearby where Jade Lotus and Bright Minnow are speaking, and before we arrive to the palanquin, um, uh, um, and suddenly Wu Lishin like turns and starts looking about. Um, uh, And then we see a flashback to Lei Zhelan in the room where the sword was hidden, with the clockwork mechanism, with a little vial dropping a particularly distinct fragrance onto the sword in the mechanism so that he can identify who takes the sword when the sword is taken. Because this is all a trap that he's laid to connect with Laughing Cricket at some point. And I think he knows that Laughing Cricket is nearby. And I don't know if he actually lays eyes on Jade Lotus at that point and recognizes him, um, and wonders, because he has seen Jade Lotus before, during the whole scene in the marketplace. But anyways, his suspicions are aroused that someone has the sword, and he assumes it is Laughing Cricket, and they are nearby.
Does that work
Yeah.
for you, Laughing
No,
Cricket?
yeah, that works perfect. And I'll be honest, I'm just kind of playing along to see what the one thought I had was that might be a way for Jade Lotus to by saying, "Hey, I found this," or this is, I might be a way to get him out of being, in trouble. But that's just one potential thing. I like that though. That I like that. I thought you were going to say that he noticed her, but I like that even better. That it's just like, hey, it's here. Yeah. So I'm good with that. Yeah.
I can smell it.
So the so Jade Lotus, the Golden Twilight looks right in your direction, but you don't know if she spotted you or not. It's just I noticed Wu Li Shin, look sharply over a way, and so I naturally looked over that same way there. And we will see whether or not I actually spotted you in the crowd, because I might be one of the very few people who can actually pick your face right out of the crowd.
Yeah, I think that I like the idea of as Golden Twilight turns to look where Wu Lejin was looking, you see just sort of the slight profile as his head, Jade Lotus's head turns away. So it's like you think maybe it was him, but maybe not, and we can find out if you did or did not really notice who he was. So.
I say to Wu Li Shin, with in a very kind of ordinary conversational way, and there's enough noise that no one can overhear us, and my face belies what I say most of the time. In other words, I'm just asking, like, just saying, "Isn't it a pretty night?" or something like that. But what I actually say is, I say, if you're going to last for any length of time in my father's court, you'll learn to look without turning your head.
Good advice. Surprising coming from you, my lady.
And then I smile prettily, as if I was just saying, "Oh, aren't the stars lovely tonight?"
And Wu Li Shin is still it says, oh no, what he says is, my head may be still muddled from that poison, but I'm glad you're at my side, Golden Twilight. I'm honored to be walking with you.
No, for tonight at least, the honor is all ours. And I'm sure that my Lady Mother will reward you for your services, and perhaps.
My prayers are with her. She has been a great benefactress for me. And
Oh, indeed. Well, I am certain that the royal family will find many blessings to shower upon you and yours in the time coming forth.
I don't know, should I roll inner conflict again? Because I know about the wedding plan. Probably
yes,
not.
which I don't. Golden Twilight doesn't know. So anyway,
That's
so
okay.
yeah, so we have this.
One inner conflict a session is enough, I think.
It's up to you. Only if you're about to blurt it out.
Only up.
But I think it's more dramatic to wait until the announcement. So
yeah, I'm good.
All right. Okay.
So, Jade Lotus, Bright Minnow, looking again straight ahead. They're nothing if not compliant. Tell you, we must get back to our home province immediately. If they find out your name, they will have you, your family, and most likely me all killed.
You might be right, but I think you're being dramatic. This is don't ruin the party. Let's just stick around and see what happens. And I promise you, if things look if things look like they're going sideways, we will leave the city immediately.
Do you know something that I don't? When you say wait and see if something's going to happen, I have to say that leaves me with a certain queasy feeling.
Let's just say that there's been a lot happening in the palace today. So it goes without saying that there's just been a lot happening at the palace today. Plus, we don't want to miss the fireworks, do we?
Very well, as you say. On a side note, isn't Lady Jade Dawn supposed to be on that pagoda?
You are correct. I don't think he ever saw any of that stuff in any of his in any of his identities. And so he'll kind of squint, and indeed, that is very, very curious. Is that a there will be many who will take that as a sign of something, I'm sure. Perhaps she is out of favor with the Lord of Iron.
Well, wouldn't that be interesting? I mean, yeah, she doesn't know, but that's a fascinating hypothesis.
I think that might be, I mean, I would assume that is, there would be some sort of something going on in the crowd about why isn't she's the first wife, right? Or the first, yeah. So it would be very, faux pas for her not to be there, without some good reason. And so I would imagine that would be one of the types of reasons that somebody might not be there, as if they weren't in favor anymore. But
yeah, rumors are probably going to abound about why she isn't present. And I will even maybe say that Lady Jade Dawn is, at least in this crowd, probably the preferred of the two wives, because of course people have favorites, given that she is the one from Jing. The other is from Muya, and people probably are still quite prejudiced against their so is there anything else that you want to do, Jade Lotus, as the pagoda passes by and the parade commences?
I don't think so. I think that Jade Lotus is going to basically just be keeping their eyes and ears open for what is happening, what's going down, for whatever might come next. I think he's just I think the wheels are spinning on what he needs to do to, get himself out of this kind of sticky situation. So, because I don't think he knows, like, it's not like they have like driver's licenses that they know he was Jade Lotus per se, I guess.
Yeah, they don't know your identity unless, yeah.
There's one person who knows.
Yes. And so he's, I think he ultimately his wheels are grinding to try to find a solution to getting back to quote unquote normal, right? So, and he's just going to wait to see what happens and look for opportunities and act on them. So that's the laughing cricket way, anyway.
Okay. So then we'll cut to Wu Lixin and Golden Twilight atop the pagoda. If you have any words that you wish to exchange before you reach the main grounds of the palace garden, whereupon you will be seated for the Lord of Iron's address, you may do so now. I will say that both of you, Golden Twilight especially, will notice that Crimson Mountain is leading the elite procession of guards at top or in front of the throne pagoda. Crimson Mountain looks pissed. But that's just a mental note that you make. as he leads the pagoda along. Is there anything that you two want to say to the other before, or to any other member of the royal family, because they're all there, before being seated for the ceremonial address?
I play the game, of course. Bowing before the Lady Orchid Whisper, and indeed bowing before Lady Jade Dawn's empty chair. Because they are, they're both my lady mothers, and which is an honorific title. I mean, they're not related to me, obviously. And I don't wish to alienate them. I greet Golden Virtue and Copper Moon as elder brother and elder sister, or whatever is appropriate.
We don't know their pronouns just yet.
Well, one we do.
TBD. One we do.
Copper
Yeah,
Moon.
that's up to anyone really, if anyone has an idea there. But I just kind of left it TBD until we actually bring them into
Anyway,
play.
I go through the standard forms with them, but I say to Wu Lixin, relax, will you?
After an attempt on my life.
It wasn't directly against yours.
That was collateral damage. True.
I understand if you're still feeling out of sorts, but you're keyed up too.
Yes, my sense is that something is going to occur here unexpectedly. And
Do
he
you,
is
do you mean
the
do you mean
audience.
that you know that there is something that is going to occur?
Let's say I smell it on the wind,
Hmm.
but I don't know what it is. We shall keep our wits about us, shall we, my lady? This will not be any ordinary day of unity.
No, it already is extraordinary. Gossip is going around the palace besides the assassination attempt that there was a breakout, that some minor miscreant or two managed to get their ways out of the palace cells.
Shocking, isn't it?
Very.
Amazing how someone might do that without any help from inside the palace.
Yes.
And Wu Lixin smiles broadly.
You didn't get a chance to help them. I wonder if you would have had you known. Don't know. But for right now, I hope that you will have the wisdom to share with me any information that you do get, knowing that your existence may hang by a thread that is in my hands. I have nothing against you and do not wish to condemn you, but I will if I must.
Is that a general cautionary word, or is this more of hearts and minds level of pressure?
I don't know. What do you think?
Hearts and minds is when you're trying to convince me of something, right?
I'm not trying to yeah.
You're just threatening me, right?
No, I'm putting my cards on the table.
Ah,
actually, it's not even a threat.
Yeah.
It is basically, it is like, I could condemn you.
Mm-hmm.
I have no reason to right now. Don't give me a reason. You know, lying to me would probably be a reason. That's basically what I am saying in flowery language.
Well, my lady, I think we're stronger as allies than we are as adversaries. There is much swirling about us right now, and I could use someone to watch my back, and I dare say you may as well.
My I hope I have generally tried to make my back as small and inconspicuous as possible. And in so way, in such a way, I hope to take the strategy of the lark, who avoids capture by simply not being around predators in the way the other birds were forced to be.
And there are many predators here at court.
Oh, indeed. But none, thankfully, that have set their sights upon me as of yet.
May it remain so.
I am but a simple girl and know nothing of these matters, after
Of
all.
course, my lady. And I hear the trumpets blare, announcing that it's time for us to be seated.
I understand that tonight's fireworks display will be extraordinary, even by the standards of last year's.
I look forward to it. And Wu Shen takes his seat while continuing to scan the audience for the faces he saw when he smelled the
So, the ceremony.
Well, yeah, ceremony is going to begin here. Jade Lotus, do you follow the pagoda as it nears the central grounds of the court garden, or are you trying to kind of stay back and kind of merge into the city, or what do you think you're doing? Or maybe more importantly, where are you as this whole ceremony
So
kicks off?
the pagoda's a moving. It's part of the parade, right?
Right.
So I think he's formulated this idea that so he's already proven that he can steal the sword because he has it. So there was never anything that he wanted other than, it's not an object that could be sold or anything like that. No, you can't you can't sell that to somebody for money. This was more of a trophy to do it. So I think he will take Bright Minnow's arm, and they will kind of move along with it because he's going to wait. He's looking for an opportunity to insert himself to appear like he stopped the person who stole the sword and get it back, right? So that's he's going to follow the thing, the kind of, they're going to kind of like walk with the crowd or whatever, along the pagoda, searching for an opportunity, thinking about just waiting to see what's happening because he's just convinced that something's going to happen, right? You had all that stuff going down. Something was going down in the palace. He doesn't exactly know what it was, but he's pretty sure something more is gonna happen, and so he's just waiting for an opportunity. I have some ideas brewing in my head, but I'll adapt to what we see happen. So
Okay, well, feel free to kind of insert an interjection whenever you choose, but what will essentially happen is the royal family is going to be seated kind of atop a stage of sorts with the palace lit up behind all of you. And the Lord of Iron will go to the front and stand before the throngs of people. Obviously, a line of full battle garb soldiers stands between him and the crowd proper. And he goes on and makes a speech. I won't role play it all out, but he makes a speech about Unity Day and the necessity of structure and a consistent legal system as a means of securing peace, and that the advent and the proliferation of technology and the ideals of Zhanjing all are necessary pieces to the continued perseverance of peace, and that as we speak, brave soldiers are out in the outer provinces continuing to spread the ideals and values of Zhanjing. And he more or less says a lot of colonialist stuff. Basically, we're going out and we're going to go assimilate everybody and burn their books and replace them with ours and that kind of thing. Replace their education with our education and so forth. But he makes it out to be a very good thing, and there's a lot of applause. And then he gets to the interesting part. He says that the message of this hallowed day is one of unity, one of forming bonds. And in the Zhanjingian tradition, the forming of bonds is one accomplished through the vows of marriage, as leaders and rulers unite in pursuit of common values, common goals, such that we are all stronger together than apart. He asks that the Mugen diplomat Wu Lixin and Golden Twilight ascend to the front of the stage.
Steel yourself.
Golden Twilight looks a little surprised. I mean, because it hasn't dawned on her what's about to happen yet. Her mind is still half with Jade Lotus, really. Wondering where he is and if he made it out safe, and 1,000 things, but she she's listening with half an ear and bows and furrows her brow just slightly, but only Wu Lixin notices. Nobody else is close enough to see that.
And with the two of you at his side, the Lord of Iron will say that on this day, it will be made formal, the engagement of Mugen diplomat Honorable Wu Lixin and his own daughter, and he refers to you as his daughter.
Oh,
yeah. Golden Twilight. And there is thunderous applause.
Wu Lixin bows deeply to the Lord of Iron, and as he comes out of his bow, he turns slightly to Golden Twilight. Intimate allies indeed.
Golden Twilight, bows to her adoptive father and to her betrothed. And I think I need to roll internal conflict. Well, I could do it now, or I could do it with the other thing that you're going to announce.
Well,
So,
yeah, I think, and in addition to this, that's punch number one.
so she's just
yeah.
for a moment. She kind of she looks at you, Wu Lucian, like, what kind, is it with a look that says you're playing a very dangerous game. But she's still composed at that point, because I mean she expected to be married off. That's what adopted daughters are for. And so she bows, composed in a very perfectly correct and respectful fashion. And she smiles. And then.
And this is the part then where the Lord of Iron goes one step further and announces with even greater pride that in addition to the engagement of his daughter Golden Twilight to Honorable Wu Lixin, he has also, after much deliberation, made the decision to select Golden Twilight as first among his successors to the throne.
Golden Twilight staggers at that one. And I think I should probably I need to roll in a conflict just to hold it. I'm rolling with Earth because this is all on my training, but it's still going to be tough. Nine.
You can bump that to a 10 if you'd like. Otherwise, it'll be a mix.
And in an interconflict roll, it's basically mark an element. I can't flee.
Yeah, no. So you can spend a bond or mark an element.
Oh, I'm marking an element. I can't see her being unscathed by this one. Yes, Wu Lixin, you're standing close enough to her to see that she loses her composure for just a moment. But it's the first even momentary flicker of anything that betrays her true heart. I catch myself against a post so that my knee doesn't buckle under me. And hardly anybody notices.
Crimson Mountain looks at you and gives you a paternal smile. He looks genuinely happy for you, and that's not an emotion he displays often.
I give him a grateful bow. That is still correct in degree, but my eyes basically say thank you. Thank you, Uncle. I can't. And I smile. I come forward to take the crowd's accolade. And smile and hold up my hand in acknowledgement of this intense honor that is being done me, and try just not to die.
You do get to mark XP for rolling inner conflict.
I do. So it is taking everything I've got not to burst into tears.
What are you feeling in this moment?
dread, astonishment, uh, uh, honor, but mostly fear. Because everything I just told that Wu Li Shen is now not true anymore. Now I have the biggest target painted on my back. Now I instantly have 3 or 4 people, very important people in court, who despise me just for being the heir, and who will be trying to destroy me. Up until this point, I had been able just to play the innocent and, you know, be sweet and naive and simple and let everybody stereotype me, and ignore me, which they were doing. I mean, there were a few people who resented my, you know, adoption, you know, but no one of tremendous importance. And suddenly it's all changed. And I realize that I realize how the fact that I have almost no friends is suddenly a huge, incredible thing, rather than, you know, something that was just, you know, a manageable circumstance. So fear.
And Jade Lotus, I mean, it's hard for you to really steal the show at this point. It's hard to top that, but is there any place in this that you want to make your move, or will you be saving that for maybe the after party? Because there is about to be one hell of a party that is going to be going well into the night,
Right.
following these 2 announcements. So you can always play your move then.
And of course, to say, Joe, rather, the Golden Twilight's going to get away as Silver Willow as soon as possible. So you can, if you want a scene with Silver Willow, you can certainly have one.
Yeah. So, I'm a little torn because I was kind of waiting to see if maybe there was any sort of um rebel behavior or anything like any disruption like that to happen. But um I could do what I'm going to do now or later. I um maybe yeah, maybe later. I'll hold it. So because
Okay.
ultimately I think what he's going to do is try to uh if something else doesn't happen, he's going to try to create sort of a patsy to um take the fall. But we could do that during the celebration or whatever as well. So
Do you have anyone picked out who you? I mean, they're dead. If someone gets
right.
framed for this,
I think what I was thinking is that perhaps um he would notice that there was uh someone that was uh had partaken from the wine a little too heavy um nearby, right? And was pretty drunk and maybe a little, because not everybody loves so maybe he's been scanning for somebody who isn't like looking like they are like super happy about about the royal family, etc. Right? There's got to be some people like that, I would think, and whether they're openly saying anything or not. And I think the idea I had is that he would maybe move um, close to where this person was, um, and sort of stage a scuffle, sort of a big scuffle scene sort of situation, and um, essentially um, plant the sword or just um, get into a scuffle with this person and have it come out looking as if, you know, this person had the sword and he tackled him and was injured. I think he wants to try to pass off his injury as happening in this sort of scuffle too. So that's sort of the whole the whole convoluted plan that he has. So hoping then that nobody asks this drunk person any questions, that they just, you know, take it all on face value, right?
I wonder if Lei Zhelan might be able to help. That's a complicated plan you have there.
I think you want some help because otherwise you're going to have Crimson Mountain asking uncomfortable questions.
Right.
But those are the best kind of questions.
No, I mean questions that you might not be able to answer, especially since he's the one who wounded you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we could
say, "Oh, interesting! You have a score right across your shoulder blade in the precise location that I did with the person who stole this sword that you discovered." Yeah, you don't want him to ask that question.
What a coincidence!
Yes. You know.
So yeah, maybe he'll wait and just keep his eyes out for something at this point. So and we can move to like I said, we can move to after or the celebration and whatnot and just see how things play from there. So
well, this would be a great time for Laughing Cricket, Lei Zhelan, and Silver Willow to all get together in some seedy bar, full of those people who have no love for the emperor.
Yeah, that would be a great
the Iron Emperor, right?
Right.
Or like we can cut ahead drunk. Now it's 1:30 in the morning and you're in this completely different space. That's fine if you want to play it that way.
Yeah, and I can imagine we see Lei Zhelan walk into this bar or bar area or wherever it is. I don't know if it's in the palace or it's in the city. Maybe it's in the city. And he's scanning because he's still looking for whoever has the sword, and so he's been going to all these different bars, and I think we see him pass nearby Jade Lotus, who is maybe seated drinking at a table.
Is it Jade Lotus or is it Laughing Cricket? Because I'd like to see Laughing Cricket.
Oh, you tell me, is it Laughing Cricket or is it Jade Lotus?
I think I like the scene of the Laughing Cricket and Silver. I like that scene of Silver Willow eventually and Lei Zhelan. And so maybe we have after the big announcement and everything, I think he slips away from Bright Minnow. I think she turns around and is like, holy crap, and then he's just not there, right? He's kind of slipped away, and he's kind of reverted back to when he goes into all those seedy bars and places like that. That's where Laughing Cricket hangs out, not Jade Lotus. And so maybe when Lei Zhelan comes in, Laughing Cricket is sitting way back, kind of in one of those dark corners, right? Of with his back, to the corner, right? And is drinking and kind of just in his own thoughts a little bit.
May I start, Jose?
Oh, I would love to start. I haven't had a scene alone with Joe just yet. I'll start it and then
Oh,
could you
okay.
join?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um,
Go for it.
so I think we see Lei Zhelan pass by the table and stop in his tracks, raise his head just a little bit, and then in one swift motion, he just turns and he sits right next to Laughing Cricket and turns to him, and he maybe he has a hood on of some sort, but Lei Zhelan looks straight at him and says, "So we meet again."
Yeah, that's right, because you came upon him while he was, so we do know each other at least briefly, right?
Briefly, and
Yeah.
I didn't sound the alarm
Oh,
during some
oh,
theft.
no. I mean, you guys know each other. You guys know each other moderately well. Remember, according to Laughing Cricket's entanglement, right?
Laughing Cricket. Let me see. Laughing Cricket.
Laughing Cricket pursued Silver Willow,
Right.
despite the interference of Lei Zhelan, who also an unrequited love. So,
Mhm.
so, so that would imply Laughing Cricket knows Lei Zhelan as like, as a, you know, as a rival. It's like, or maybe doesn't know why Lei Zhelan is interfering, but
Or maybe I haven't interfered yet, but I'm about to.
Right.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
We meet again.
so I think uh, uh, he's somewhat surprised, and uh, 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 Lei Zhelan, I would have thought you to be busy at the palace with all of the activities and announcements.
I just wanted to know whether I was so curious whether you'd picked up the gift.
I can't I wouldn't possibly know what you're referring to.
Oh, I think you do. I think it's on your person at this very moment. A sword, perhaps?
Well,
It's
a
been hush hush
souvenir.
at the palace that the famous pearl sword has vanished, but
Well, that would be a feat of legend if someone were to have accomplished such a thing as that.
well, I find you quite legendary, Laughing Cricket. So it's perfect. And a sword of legend is worthy of a hero, or a rogue, shall I say, of your caliber.
You flatter me. And then I think he'll wave at the the um
Bar wench.
the bar. Yes, the help to bring another glass. I assume I imagine he has a pitcher of wine or whatever it is there uh as well. So um yeah, I'm trying to decide whether he is every interaction cagey as hell, or do we ever say would at any point he admit that he actually has it? I don't think I think we'll just
Yes,
dance a
Orlando.
little.
Mhm.
We'll just dance a little. So um uh so he'll
Well,
quite
the
a
roguish heroism and
roguish
legendary
heroism.
deeds.
Yeah, I mean
Close.
he'll pour a glass of wine for you, and say and raised for a toast, just as a to a successful evening, one might say, and raise the glass.
At some point, you'll have to tell me how you managed to get around the mountain, who right now stalks the palace furiously.
Well, uh,
You guys let me know when you want to break in.
Whenever you want now.
yeah,
I
whenever
Okay.
whenever
I
you
got,
want.
yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe I
Okay,
like
so
the
then
idea.
I think when you raised, a glass and you said, here's to the thing like this, and then you heard also right next to you. I mean, like right next to you, right there, and fuck the emperor, really loud, just to make you jump, deliberately.
And is that
and
Silver
and
Willow?
it's Silver Willow, who is snorting with laughter when you suddenly spun around, jumped up and spun around like an assassin was about to get you. Oh, you should have. Oh God. Did you? Oh, Lei Zhelan, did you see his face? Oh, if I had only had a portrait painter here, this would have been priceless.
If it isn't the beautiful Silver Willow,
Thank
surely you must
you.
please join us.
I see you guys have started without me. I'm gonna have some catching up to do. And she waves over and she has, but not with that swill, thanks. And they had them punk down a couple
something
bottles
better?
of decent rice wine.
Well,
They what they put in the pitchers here is what they sluice off the floors into the drains to be drunk by less discerning folk. I prefer to get pickled on better stuff. At least while I can afford it.
Bring it on.
Yeah, sounds like Silver Willow's buying. So bring it on.
This is my share here. She says, plunking down 2 bottles. So I give you an elbow shot, Jade Lotus, right in the wrong spot. Or
Yeah,
close enough to the wrong spot. And she goes, oh. That's not dye or somebody else's vomit, which I thought it was.
Oh, it's nothing. Yeah, and he visibly winces when
Don't you bullshit me. What happens?
Well, when one scales a mountain, one doesn't come away completely unscathed.
No, you went up against the mountain? Are you crazy?
He's heroic, not crazy.
Crazy. Dead.
Sometimes
I'm actually though you get a lot of credit from still talking and
he survived.
Drinking and not keeling over on us. Gosh, good Lord. You know how many men he's killed in straight up duels?
Well,
to say nothing of wars.
Not to sound unheroic, but I didn't stick around very long to any longer than I had to duel with the mountain.
They say he has. They say he has. They said he has a spear that whirs.
Yes, he has a mechanical spear that. But that's not the. I would suspect that mechanical spear or no, he would his surgical skills would have the outcome would probably have been the same.
So how are you doing, Lei? You managed to rip yourself away from the gardens finally? They let you go?
Oh yes. My job's done. I'm allowed to drink now after all the commotion with these royals and their weddings and their assassinations.
Yeah, as long as you don't show up too pickled in the morning. Assassinations?
Attempts. You didn't hear.
Yeah, you hear a lot of things, but they're all contradictory. What did you hear?
Well, I heard that there was an assassination attempt before the before the announcements, and that it was against Lady Jade Dawn, and that's why she wasn't in the pagoda with everybody else. I don't know if it's true.
Well, that would explain it.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't she be here? This is as much as her celebration as anyone else's.
True enough.
We all know where the great engineering might of Jing comes from. I say the word with as much disdain as humanly possible.
I'm worried about my friend here, Cricket.
Cricket.
What will you do with the item now that you have it?
Wait. You mean that? You stole that thing?
How do you think he ran across the mountain?
You don't run across
won't
the
fess
mountain.
up
You don't run across the mountain. You typically try to scale the mountain and then fall to your death.
Well, it was not wholly dissimilar to that, but I suppose amongst friends, and I think he will peel back the robe, and you can see just the oh gosh, my mind is, I've lost the handle. The hilt, thank you. The handle, right?
Yes.
Very sort. Yeah, the hilt, and it's extremely obviously recognizable in what it is.
Oh my God, what are you going to do with it? This is crazy. If anybody sees you with that thing.
And he'll close his back up and says, well, I don't really know yet what I don't really care. I've already done what I wanted to do, which was prove that it could be taken. Don't really have any I can't sell it. So do you have any ideas?
No. Silver Willow puts a hand on your chest, and in a friendly fashion, and she just laughs. It's like only you would steal something that valuable just to show that you could steal it. You can, and of course, you're still mad for her.
Yes.
And so this kind of extremely friendly thing doesn't, may be a little bit stirring.
Yeah, and he winces because every time Silver Willow touches him, it hurts, but he doesn't want her to stop. It's showing so he's enjoying it, but every time she nudges him or smacks him, it's hurting. It hurts because of his wounds, but he's too caught up in the moment to want it to be any different. So.
And Lei Zhelan pulls out a pouch from his robes and says, we need to look at that wound before anything else happens.
Yeah.
There's a back room here. Come with me, friend. You can't be bleeding all over this booth. It'll attract too much attention.
And so he'll say, he'll, of course, sure. Of course. And he'll, and as we get up, he'll kind of look back at, are you coming too, Silver Willow?
Well, of course I am. Who's going to keep a lookout while you two guys are busy?
Zhelan furrows his brow a little, says, that would be helpful.
She Silver Willow catches Zhelan's eye at some point when Laughing Cricket isn't directly looking, and she gives you a she knows what you're trying to do.
And I think we do have a little scene. I don't know, where is it? Is it on your like side, on your flank? I can't remember where the wound is.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah.
It's in some very I suggest it's like in a really characteristic space, like it's a score across the shoulder blade or something like that.
Oh, across the shoulder blade. All right.
But of course requires some degree
Some
of
kind of
disrobing.
disrobing.
Some degree of
Yeah, well,
disrobing.
he has to take his shirt off and show how, powerfully muscled this torso is.
And then there's a scene of Zhelan applying the poultice gently to his shoulder and staring daggers at Silver Willow while she laughs.
Silver Willow just kind of licks her chops. I mean, she's not interested in, she's rejected Jade Lotus, but on the other hand, she appreciates
She appreciates a fine chest.
a fine torso as much as anybody does. And in fact, of course, she goes, why does she says to herself, why does this guy make my heart pound? He is just, he's amiable scum, but he's still scum, but why, I can't possibly want him, because she's not rejected him because she doesn't think he's attractive.
Mm-hmm.
She's rejected him because he's too far beyond the pale. She can't, she might get involved with an unsuitable person, possibly, but not with a thief.
Are any of us having inner conflict? We're all together.
I'll roll inner conflict because it's kind of.
I could.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, when he takes his shirt off, I'm happy to roll inner conflict.
Yeah, and I don't think I have any inner conflict here because I do want Silver Willow, so I don't think there's any inner conflict with that. So
I have. I mean, it is my romantic inner conflict, so I should probably, or it is my romantic entanglement, so I could see.
Yeah, the trigger for inner conflict is just when you come face to face with emotional turmoil and pressure from an entanglement or personal issue. So, yeah, I think it depends on how much pressure you deem rises to the level of inner conflict. It's up to you guys, though.
I'm fine. I've already rolled it once. I just wanted to have the scene more than anything.
Okay, well, I guess I don't have to count it then, because I guess I've rolled one once too. And certainly as shocks go, this is a lesser one.
Less than being declared heir.
Well, if it's about that kind of pressure, maybe Laughing Cricket's been partaking of the wine, and I like the idea that he's trying to come on to Silver Willow and keeps getting rebuffed. And there's sort of that tug thing, and perhaps he's struggling with it.
Yeah, and I think for Silver Willow, it's that she's actually having a little trouble rebuffing him. I mean, she has to, but it feels like she's saying, go away closer, because she would like nothing more than to get lost in some meaningless physical gratification right now, to take her mind away from the cataclysmic events of the day. And yet, she can't really allow herself to do so. So I'll take the roll that I got, which is an 8, which means that I'm going to mark another element.
Okay. Well, you get to mark XP one more time.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't mind rolling on inner conflict as well, because this is all an awful lot, right? And so I think he's gonna roll as well, just to try to, because he's there's this whole big tug of war, push pull thing happening between the three of them and everything, and between the wound and the wine and everything. So,
Yes.
and it's with anything but your style element, right?
Yes.
Well, let me see what might make sense there. God, my Google Sheets. Too many people using the internet in my house.
Now, something I should probably ask about real quick here. When you tried to patch Laughing Cricket up, did anybody roll to comfort or support to clear that wounded condition? Because otherwise you're at a -2 for that inner conflict.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I should roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make that roll first.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. I forgot. Thank you for reminding me of the mechanics of the game. Comfort and support. Can they clear a wound? It says mark element.
Wounded is basically
work,
a
yeah.
marked element. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. I just need to pick an
Yeah,
element for
I
myself.
think the fiction has to allow for
Yeah.
healing.
I'm going to use earth for caution and focus and presence. I guess there's nothing healy.
Earth is good.
Yeah, let's do earth. All right. Oh, it's a 10.
Nice.
Good job.
Yes.
So you may clear that wounded condition if you so choose, Laughing Cricket. And Lei Zhelan, you may also clear an element yourself, ask Laughing Cricket a question they must answer, gain +1 influence, or give Laughing Cricket a bond with you.
Let's see what makes sense narratively. I do have an element marked, water. Sorry. I'll go ahead and just unmark my element. That's a simple one. Okay.
So now you can do the inner conflict mood, Cricket.
Okay, I think we're going to do this with thinking fire. There's a lot of passion happening right now, right under the covers. So I think that's what we're going to do. 9.
Okay. Don't forget to mark XP for rolling inner conflict, and you get to either flee the scene or you must mark an element of your choosing.
Easy
Or spend a bond. Yes.
Or spend a bond.
That's true. You can spend a bond here too.
I actually think, how about this? So I think, all this is happening, and, the Lei Zhelan has patched him up and everything, and I think that he and Silver Willow are looking at each other, and there's a commotion out in there's some loud commotion out in the front room, and he just takes off. He's going to flee the scene. He's just going to take off, and it was all a bit too much for him, and he took off. So
look what you did. You chased him away.
We are getting a little close on time here.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to see if there might be a way to bring the scene to either a gentle close or to a cliffhanger, although I find that ending a session on cliffhangers tends to result in people having to miss the following session. But we can end it however, but I was thinking about maybe wrapping.
So let me just react to that, because I think that's a perfectly good ending. You chased him away. Silver Willow slaps you. And then she says, "Shit, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that."
Was it something I said? Well, no, actually, we could stop it right
And
there.
she says, "Shit, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that." And she looks genuinely troubled.
Okay, we can stop it right there. Yeah,
You
I just look stunned.
yeah, you look stunned because you provoked you stepped on a landmine and you didn't know it. Okay.
Good. We will go ahead and close things out here. I'll stop the recording and we'll see what happens next time.